Good morning, students. Good morning, all of you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, online students also. All the online students, I would also like to request you to switch on your cameras, and also good morning to students who've joined us on YouTube as well. So, students, this workshop we've conducted specifically for you with respect to the PSIR optional paper, Political Science and International Relations optional paper. Students, you're all civil service aspirants, and I'd like to tell you that in your journey to qualify civil service examination, uh, making an optional choice can be a make or break choice, because if you choose the right optional paper, that can play a pivotal role in you getting selected in the civil services. As you all know, students, very well, the optional paper accounts for 500 marks out of your total mark sheet. It is going to account for 500 marks. So if you pick up the right choice, if you make the right choice with respect to your optional paper, this is going to have a great amount of determining impact on your selection. And that is why, students, you all also, I'm very sure that you have many queries and doubts regarding that which optional choice I should opt for. And there must be a lot of confusions also regarding that, a lot of queries also regarding that. There's so many very good optional papers which the UPSC has offered to you. You have subjects like anthropology, you have subjects like sociology, geography, history, also mathematics, and you also have this political science and international relations optional paper. So, and many other optional choices are also there. And of course, we have seen, or very often we have seen, that students, they do have this confusion that which one is the best, which one should I choose, which one will help me qualify this examination, excel in my journey for the preparation of civil service examination. And specifically to deal with all these doubts and queries, students, we have decided to conduct this workshop for you. We do this every year for our students, and it greatly benefits students. So, students, in the today's workshop, I'm going to have a detailed, in-depth discussion with you on political science and international relations as an optional choice. What is the nature of this paper? And what is the nature of the syllabus? What is the reason for the high success rate of PSIR optional paper? I will discuss all of this with you. I would also discuss the strategy which you should follow to prepare for the PSIR optional paper. So, a detailed discussion in this workshop I intend to do with you regarding PSIR, which I'm sure will help you, and also, help you in taking a reasoned choice that which optional paper you should choose. And also, students, at the end of the workshop, I would open up the floor for Q&A session also, and I'd like to take all your questions and queries also and address them as much as I can. So let's start the discussion, students. Let's begin the discussion. First of all, students, the big question which is there: which optional paper should I choose, or why should I choose political science and international relations as an optional choice? So, students, this question, so many times, students, they meet me very often when they have interaction with me, they ask me this question, sir. So, according to you, which optional choice I should make, which optional paper should I choose? So, I always tell my students that there are two criteria which you must keep in mind while making a choice for your optional paper. Which are those two criteria, students? First of all is your interest, your own interest. Do you have keen academic interest in that particular paper or not? That is the first priority, students. Don't listen to others, don't listen to anyone that this pick up this paper, choose this optional. Listen to yourself, your own soul, that do you have academic interest in political science and international relations or not? When you say political science and international relations, what is it all about? It has two papers, paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1, you have topics related to political theory, what is politics, and also ideological viewpoints, philosophical viewpoints of great philosophers like Marx, Plato, Aristotle, Gandhi, Ambedkar. This is there. Then you also have detailed, in-depth discussion regarding, Indian government and politics, how Indian politics over the years have evolved, the making of the Indian constitution, the nature of the Indian politics. And then you have the PSIR paper 2, which is on international relations and Indian foreign policy. So if you have keen interest in these topics, students, then only you should opt for this particular paper. Academic interest is very important. Why it is important, I must tell you. Because once you pick up an optional choice, you can't change it every day. It's not, it's not a case where you will get an opportunity to change your optional paper frequently. Once you pick it up, once you choose an optional paper, you will have to live with it. And at least for 2 years, you will have to live with that paper at least for 2 years. And you have to every day, day in and day out, you have to read topics related to that particular paper, memorize them, also revise multiple times, and even do answer writing practice. So day in, day out, you'll have to live with that particular paper, whether it is history, or it is sociology, or it is geography, or it is political science and international relations. Are you ready to live with this paper for next 2 years or not? That is the most pertinent question. And you will be able to do that only if you have keen academic interest in that particular paper. If you do not have an academic interest, then you will not be able to do the adequate amount of hard work which is required to develop mastery over that particular optional paper. And students, you must understand one thing. You are all, very young, and you've just freshly passed out from colleges and universities. And understand one thing. There is a difference between a college exam and the civil services exam. What is the difference? In the college, what is your priority? In the college, your priority is that this is my syllabus. All I need to get is 50 to 60% marks and get my graduation degree, and my job is done. So that is how you treat your college exams. This is not a college exam, students. It is a competitive exam. The criteria here is not to just pass the exam. The criteria here is that only the most meritorious candidates will get the job and everybody else will fail. So you have to be better than others. It is a competitive exam. It's a race. It's not like a college exam where you find jugaad solutions, get me a kunji, give me previous year questions, I'll ratify some notes and just pass the exam somehow, get 50%, 60%, college degree done, my job done. That attitude, leave that attitude if you want to prepare for civil services. That attitude you will have to change now. Because now you are preparing for something which is a competitive exam, which you're competing with others, and only the most meritorious is going to get the job. Therefore, you have to be very serious about it. So only if you have keen academic interest in the optional paper, then only go for that choice. If you have keen academic interest in political science, international relations, then only go for it. Now coming to the second criteria. Second criteria which you should keep in mind while picking up the optional choice, while making an optional choice, is that winnability criteria. What is the winnability criteria? Winnability criteria is that you can't just make an optional choice just on the basis of your emotions. You also have to be pragmatic. You understand what is the meaning of the term pragmatic? That means you have to be practical also. You also have to take into consideration that whether this optional paper has the probability of getting me selected or not. What is the success rate of this optional paper? Don't end up picking up an optional paper where the success rate is very less. You may have academic interest, but success rate is very less. So even if you are keenly interested in that paper, despite putting all the hard work, you will not get selected. So you also have to look at the winnability criteria, that whether this particular optional paper has a high success rate or not. You have to be pragmatic also, practical also. So you have to take these two things into consideration. The first is your academic interest. Second is success rate of that optional paper. And taking into consideration both the criteria, if you're able to conclude that, okay, fine, political science and international relations is a paper which has a very high success rate. I hope you know regularly all the top ranks are from political science and international relations. Regularly it has been happening since so many years. So it has a very high success rate. And why it has a high success rate, that also I will discuss with you today in the workshop. And second, if you have academic interest. So if these two criteria you fulfill, then you go and pick up political science and international relations. Not just because your roommate told you, or you saw some YouTube video, or some friend told you. No, that should not be your criteria. Your criteria should always be whether you have academic interest. Second, the winnability criteria, success rate of that optional paper. And whether you have an academic interest or not, how will you find that? In order to find that, you'll have to read the syllabus. You'll have to read the syllabus of political science and international relations, both paper 1 and paper 2. That is what we will do today. I will discuss syllabus with you. And also you'll have to look at how it overlaps with the GS papers. That also discussion we'll do today. And also you will have to look at the previous year questions. After doing this exercise, you will yourself get the answer to the question that whether I like this optional paper or not. So these criteria you should keep in mind, students, while making an optional choice. Now, students, particularly talking about political science and international relations. So I would like to address this now, that why you should choose political science and international relations. What are the reasons that behind the high success rate of this optional paper. So students, one big reason for the high success rate of the optional political science and international relations optional paper is that it has a great deal of overlapping with the GS papers and ethics paper and also your essay paper. Great deal of overlapping. Students who pick up the PSIR optional, make the PSIR optional as their choice, who take up political science and international relations as their optional in the civil services examination, they tend to score very good marks in PSIR, but they also tend to score very good marks in GS, ethics, and essay as well. So therefore, they get a competitive edge over their competitors, and this propels their probability. This increases the probability of their selection. So that is also one big reason for its success rate. Because once you are preparing, once you are reading PSIR, once you have taken PSIR as your optional, you will also end up preparing multiple topics which overlap with the GS, ethics, and essay. So PSIR optional students, they tend to score very good marks in GS, ethics, and essay also. And that is why there's a high success rate of PSIR optional students, because you are not going to get selected in civil services just by scoring good marks in one paper. You have to do good in all the papers. You have to have a good score in all papers, optional papers, GS papers, essay paper. Then only you will get the interview call. Then only you will see your name in the final list. And that is where PSIR optional students have a competitive edge over others. There's great deal of overlapping between the PSIR syllabus and GS 1, 2, and 3, GS 4 ethics, and essay. In fact, when you pick up PSIR optional, you are not preparing for 500 marks. It's not just 500 marks. It's more than 1,000 marks. Because the same PSIR topics would also be asked in your GS, ethics, and essay. That's what we're going to discuss right now. I will break this down for you. First of all, this is the syllabus for GS paper 1. These are those topics of GS paper 1 which overlap with your optional syllabus. Which you also must have got this handout, page number 2 of this handout. You have topics of GS paper 1 which I've listed for you. These topics of GS paper 1 which are listed here on the board also, in the handout also which you have, these topics, they overlap with your PSIR optional syllabus. Which are these topics? The first is regarding freedom struggle. Freedom struggle. How did we get our independence? What the whole national movement, what was the nature of the national movement? What were the most important contributors during the national movement? This is also part of your PSIR optional syllabus. PSIR paper 1, section B, Indian government and politics. There, the first topic is freedom struggle. How India got its freedom. The whole detailed theoretical study of India's national movement is done in PSIR optional. And that same topic you also find in GS paper 1. So naturally, PSIR optional students would be very comfortable attempting questions in GS paper 1 also regarding freedom struggle. Next topic, students, is post-independence consolidation. That is post-independent history of India. That means after independence, after 1947, what has been the political, social, and economic evolution of India. The political history of India after 1947. And this is also part of your PSIR optional syllabus. In PSIR optional syllabus also, we do an in-depth study of the political evolution of the Indian politics. And that is also there in your GS paper 1 as well. So naturally, you will have a lot of comfort and ease attempting these questions. Next topic, students, is regarding regarding world history and different developments regarding world history. For example, colonization, decolonization, and colonization, decolonization. These are topics which are integral part of the PSIR syllabus, especially when we study international relations, when we study post-colonial states and the role of post-colonial states in world politics. You know what is a post-colonial state? A post-colonial state is which has come out of a colonization, which has suffered years and decades of a colonial exploitation. So colonization, the colonizers of Europe, what was their role in world politics? And then the post-colonial states which have come out of decolonization, what is their role in world politics? This is what we study in PSIR optional. And that is where which you see that the same topic is there in the GS paper as well. Then also these political philosophies. In GS paper 1, you have these political philosophies in the syllabus like communism, capitalism, socialism, and how do they impact the society. These ideologies, these philosophies are integral part of the PSIR paper 1 syllabus. In political theory in paper 1, we study these ideologies and philosophies. Then also, role of women in society, women organizations, women movements. These are also in your GS paper 1. You have the same topic in PSIR as well. Also, the effect of globalization on the Indian society. This is an integral part of the PSIR paper 2 syllabus. PSIR students, they do in-depth study of globalization. What is globalization? How it has emerged? How it has an impact on the society? Different types of globalization. How globalization has affected world politics, international relations. In-depth study of globalization is done by PSIR students in PSIR paper 2. And the same topic you have in GS paper 1 also. So if you have a student with a PSIR background, attempting questions on globalization in the GS paper 1 will be a cakewalk for you. You will be easily able to attempt. Because the same topic, we develop great amount of mastery and expertise on the same topic while studying PSIR as well. And the next topic, students, again, topics like social empowerment, communalism, topics like regionalism, secularism. These are also topics which we have in PSIR paper. So many topics of GS paper 1 students which are listed here for you, they overlap with the PSIR syllabus. So a PSIR student is bound to feel very comfortable while attempting GS paper 1 as well. And a PSIR student will feel extremely comfortable attempting a GS paper 2. The entire GS paper 2, except certain topics regarding social issues, overlaps with the PSIR syllabus. What is GS paper 2, students? GS paper 2 is Indian polity, international relations, and social issues. Indian polity and international relations are integral part of the PSIR syllabus. So when you are preparing for PSIR, your GS paper 2 is also getting prepared. PSIR students, you will see students, if you see mark sheet of PSIR students, you will see one common feature. PSIR students who get selected, the ones who are sincere about their preparation, they also tend to score extremely good marks in GS paper 2, because GS paper 2 becomes the easiest for them. Majority of the questions in GS paper 2, around 14 to 15 out of 20 questions on polity, Indian constitution, Indian government and politics, and international relations, which they are easily able to attempt. These are reasons, students, why PSIR has such a high success rate. These are reasons. You have to be, you don't have to, in your civil services preparation, you have to be smart. Not only those people succeed who do smart work, not donkey work. You have to be smart. Smart is pick up a paper which will help you in your other papers of PSIR, other papers of civil services as well. Why do, why take extra burden? Do something which with one, arrow, you are able to target multiple targets. So that's why there's a high success rate. In GS paper 3 also, students, these are topics related to GS paper 3. And these topics also overlap with your PSIR syllabus. First is land reforms in India and green revolution. How land reforms happened in India, what impact land reforms had on the society of India. This is what we study in PSIR syllabus as well. Then also effects of liberalization on the economy, changes in industrial policy and their effects. When did liberalization happen in India? 1991. India did economic reforms. India did undergo liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So how did this affect Indian society? How did this affect Indian economy? That's in-depth study of this is done in your PSIR syllabus. The next topic is the issues related to intellectual property rights. This is what we study in PSIR also. What is IPR? What is India's IPR policy? What is the disputes which India has on IPR with other countries? For example, students, you must be reading in the newspapers right now that India is right now having negotiations with United States of America to sign a bilateral trade agreement. Have you read about it? Those trade negotiations between India and US, what is the most, one of the most crucial topics where both countries disagree? One of the most crucial topics where India and US disagree is a IPR issue, intellectual property right. There is also disagreements between rich countries and poor countries on IPR in WTO, also World Trade Organization, which is also there in your PSIR syllabus. So do we do detailed study of these topics, which are there in your GS also? Then also students, issues like conservation of the environment and environmental degradation, which is there in GS paper 3, that is an integral part of your PSIR paper 2 syllabus. Environment, climate change, global warming, international negotiations, international organizations which are contributing towards the fight against climate change and global warming. Which are such organizations? Have you heard about the organization UN, United Nations? Have you heard about a UN body called UNEP, United Nations Environment Program? UNFCCC, UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. These are international bodies which are trying to facilitate cooperation between the nations of the world to fight against global warming and climate change. We do a detailed discussion on environmental degradation, how it is a global challenge. It's a global problem. Do you think the states of the world or the nations of the world, do you think they can deal with the problem of global warming individually? For example, if India stops polluting, do you think that will end our problem of global warming, if even though our neighbors, they keep on polluting? If India stops polluting, if India stops emitting carbon emissions, but our neighbor China continues to do the same, our neighbor China continues to pollute, do you think the polluted air of China will seek visa before entering Indian airspace? No. Atmosphere is a common. Environment is a global common issue. It's a global challenge, environmental preservation. And therefore, in order to do environmental preservation, in order to mitigate climate change, in order to adapt to climate change, all countries of the world will have to cooperate with each other. And how are they cooperating? What negotiations they are having? Recently, Paris Climate Agreement was signed, if you are aware. India has played a pivotal role in the formation of this body called International Solar Alliance, which is headquartered in Gurugram, if you are aware. So how the countries of the world are cooperating with each other, which agreements they have signed to do environmental preservation, that is what we do in the PSIR syllabus. That is what you have in the GS syllabus also. Then also, how development, the linkages between development and spread of extremism, which is related to your internal security threats. In your GS paper 3, you have these topics regarding India's national security. When we talk about national security, students, Rashtra Suraksha, in national security, there are two components. One is external security, second is internal security threats. What are external security threats, students? External security threats, like threats which we have from our hostile neighbors like Pakistan and China. And also our hostile neighbor Pakistan sponsoring terrorism against India, fighting a proxy war against India. That is an external security threat. Then you also have internal security threats in India like Naxalism, Maoism, separatism, secessionism. So all internal and external security threats we do study in PSIR paper. The role played by state actors and non-state actors in security, we do study in PSIR paper. In fact, security, national security, is a very important topic in PSIR paper 2. In PSIR paper 2, we do a detailed conceptual theoretical study of national security. What is security? How do we define security? What are different dimensions of security? What are different theoretical viewpoints on security? And these topics related to security you have in your GS paper 3 as well. So naturally, students, what happens is that the student who has done PSIR properly, he feels very comfortable attempting these questions in the GS papers. And lastly, students, your ethics paper, your GS paper 4. Here also PSIR students are bound to do very well as compared to other students. Why? Because while attempting questions on ethics, what are you supposed to quote in your exam? You are supposed to, in order to get good marks in ethics paper, you are supposed to quote moral thinkers and philosophers. Moral thinkers and philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Gandhi, Ambedkar. And do you think these topics are there in PSIR syllabus? Yes. That is why ethics also becomes easy for PSIR students. There are questions in the ethics paper which are asked on IR also. Last year only in the mains paper, there was a question on ethical considerations regarding maintaining peace in world politics. And do you think a student of IR will be able to attempt that easily? Yes, of course. We study the same issue in PSIR paper 2. Morals and ethics in IR. What are the morals and ethics of IR? Approach of idealism on IR. And that approach, by using that approach, you could easily attempt questions also on ethics which are related to international relations. So students who have PSIR optional, they also feel very comfortable in the ethics paper. And the essay paper also, students, every year in the essay paper, every year, without a fail, 1 to 2 topics. I hope you know that in the essay paper, you get 8 topics and you have to write 2 essays. Without a fail, every year, at least 2 topics in the essay paper, they are directly from the PSIR syllabus. They overlap with the PSIR syllabus. So this is the reason, students. This is the reason why the PSIR optional has such a high success rate, because it has great deal of convergence with your GS papers, ethics paper, and essay paper. That is the reason. And students, at times I get this, at times I get this query. A lot of students, they ask me this question: that sir, PSIR optional has a lengthy syllabus. It has a very lengthy syllabus. The syllabus is very vast. Yes, students, I agree with you. The syllabus of political science and international relations is vast. It has a lengthy syllabus. But students, if you work hard, you also get a better results. Students who are investing their time in PSIR, by covering the vast syllabus of PSIR, they get advantage in other papers of UPSC also, other papers of the civil service examination also. So the amount of hard work they are putting in PSIR, that is benefiting them in other GS, ethics, and essay paper as well. And therefore, their probability to succeed in the exam exponentially increases. So therefore, you should not shy away from hard work. You should not have this approach that, sir, give me a shortcut to qualify the exam. Give me a jugaad solution to qualify the exam. Unfortunately, students, in civil services, there is no shortcut and no jugaad solution. You have to go through the grill. So you can't have this criteria to choose the optional. Which optional has a small syllabus? Which optional has a vast syllabus? And count number of topics. Okay, 10, 20, 30 topics. This has 15 topics. Ye kam hai, chalo ye le lete hain. This should not be your criteria to pick up an option, make an optional choice. I told you what should be your criteria. The criteria should not be the length of the syllabus, that you measure length of syllabus 10 centimeter, 12 centimeter, 15 centimeter. That childish approach you should not have. Okay, you want to be a civil servant. You cannot behave so immaturely now. You should be very careful. You should make the choice, a reasoned choice, on the basis that, I don't care how long is the syllabus, but whether this paper will help me or not, whether it will increase my possibility to succeed in the exam or not. That should be the criteria. And that is why the PSIR students are very successful. Now also, students, now that we've done this overlapping discussion, how it overlaps with the GS syllabus, now also briefly, students, I will discuss with you the syllabus of PSIR. PSIR syllabus, both paper 1 and paper 2, I will briefly discuss with you, which is also given to you in the handout which you got today. It's on page number 6. And let's have a discussion on the PSIR syllabus, both paper 1 and paper 2 as well. So the syllabus of paper 1, first of all, I hope you know, students. I'm sure many of you must be already aware, but just for your knowledge, I would still repeat, the optional paper has 2 papers, PSIR paper 1 and paper 2. And both papers are further divided into 2 sections, section A and section B. So PSIR paper 1 also has section A and section B, and PSIR paper 2 also has section A and section B. And both PSIR paper 1 and paper 2 are worth 250 marks each. Total 500 marks. So let's discuss both syllabus of both PSIR papers, PSIR paper 1 and paper 2. As far as PSIR paper 1 is concerned, students, it is related to topics regarding political theory, political thought, and Indian government and politics. These are the topics in PSIR paper 1. Section A is regarding political theory and political thought. Section A of PSIR paper 1. These are the topics of section A of PSIR paper 1. And this is regarding political theory and political thought. So let's study these topics one by one. Which are these topics in PSIR paper 1 syllabus? First, students, is political theory, meaning and approaches. What is politics? What do we understand by politics? What is the meaning and interpretation of politics. Political science is a master science, which different theoretical approaches have been given by various scholars to study politics. That is your chapter 1. That is your chapter 1. That is on political theory, its meaning and approaches. Then your chapter 2, students, is theories of a state. What is a state? You know what is a state? State is a political entity which has 4 essential features. Which are those 4 essential features? Sovereignty, territory, population, and a government. So what is a state? Why did we create state? What was the need to create the state on planet Earth? And what are different theoretical approaches which have been recommended to study the role of a state? The different theoretical approaches study the role of state. The liberal approach, the Marxist approach, the pluralistic approach, the post-colonial approach, the feminist approach to study the role of state. What is the role of state in the society? Is the state able to help people? Is it able to ensure the welfare of the people or not? On this, different theoretical ideas have been proposed by various philosophers. Different theoretical approaches are there on theories of state. Liberal approach, Marxist approach, feminist approach, post-colonial approach. That is your chapter 2. Then students, have you seen the preamble of the Constitution of India? In the preamble of the Constitution of India, when you read it, you will read there are many political values which are mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution of India. Which political values? Can you mention few? Can you name few? Secularism, justice, equality, freedom, fraternity. These are political values which are mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution. And all these political values, they are in your PSIR paper 1 syllabus. What is a justice? Like it is mentioned in the preamble of India's Constitution, social justice, economic justice. What do we understand by justice? What is the concept of justice? How can we ensure justice in the society? There are different theories which have been proposed by philosophers regarding justice. And that is what also in your syllabus. Next is equality. What do we understand by equality? What is social equality, political equality, economic equality? How do we ensure equality in the society? What is the role of what is the importance of an egalitarian society? And how do we ensure equality also with the help of steps like affirmative action? Are you aware about affirmative action? Okay, so that is also there in the syllabus. In-depth study of equality. And you yourself understand, students, when you develop mastery over these concepts, don't you think your understanding of the politics and how your country and society is run will enhance? And that is what will help you while being a civil servant also, and while also preparing for a civil services. Same time, what is the meaning of rights? Can you imagine a democracy without rights? Students, can you have a democratic political system without rights? It is an impossible idea. The role of rights. What are rights? Why should people enjoy basic rights? Human rights, which is the edifice of a democratic political system. There are different theories on rights. There are different types of rights. Positive rights, negative rights. In the Constitution of India also you have positive and negative rights. Are you aware about Part 3 and Part 4 of the Constitution of India? Fundamental rights and directive principles of a state policy. They all fall under the category of human rights. There are 3 generations of human rights. First, second, and third generation. All that is what you study in this chapter. Then also a detailed study of what is a democracy. How democratic political systems in the world has evolved. Different types of democracy. Different theories on democracy. Then also concept of a power, hegemony, ideology, legitimacy. You know what is hegemony? Hegemony means a dominance. What is power? What is hegemony? What is ideology? What is the role of these concepts in politics? That is also in your PSIR paper 1 syllabus. Then also various political ideologies. Ideology of liberalism, socialism, Marxism, fascism. Also ideology of Gandhism, feminism. I hope you are very well aware about Adolf Hitler and Mussolini. They followed the fascist ideology, the Nazi ideology. And then you have Gandhi's views, Gandhi's ideology. You have the feminist ideology. What is a feminist ideology, students? Feminist ideology, it criticizes, takes a critical viewpoint on the exploitative practice of a patriarchy. You know what is patriarchy? Male domination over a woman in the society. When women, they do not get equal opportunities in the society. How patriarchy is so dangerous and exploitative in nature. That is what the feminists analyze. Then the Marxist ideology, socialist ideology. All these ideologies are also in your syllabus, and these ideologies are also mentioned in GS papers. And students, if you're an aware student, you would know that these ideologies, they also play a very important role in the essay paper. In the essay paper, you get questions on these topics. Role of gender in society. If you have mastery of feminism, you'll be able to write good essays on gender. You'll be able to write good essays on women empowerment. So all this will help you in all the other papers of GS, essay, and ethics. So this is your PSIR paper 1, section A. In section A, you also have these topics regarding political thought. What is political thought? Viewpoints of the great philosophers. Views of philosophers. Which philosophers? Philosophers of India and also philosophers of the Western world. Indian political thought and the Western political thought. Which are the great philosophers of India, students? Gandhi, Ambedkar, Aurobindo. You know about this book called Arthashastra? Who wrote Arthashastra? Kautilya. You also describe him as Chanakya. Also, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Also, M.N. Roy. These are Indian philosophers. What is their philosophy? What are their views on society? That's also we study. And these philosophers are which will help. The philosophers will help you write good answers in your ethics paper. And then also philosophers of the Western world, philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, J.S. Mill, Marx, Gramsci, Hannah Arendt. These are philosophers of the Western world. So this is also in your syllabus. This is your PSIR paper 1, section A, where you do in-depth study of the theoretical concepts of politics, and also political theory and also political thought. And then you have section B of PSIR paper 1. I told you each paper is divided into 2 sections, section A and section B. Section B is Indian government and politics. In-depth study of how India's political system has evolved. How India's political system has evolved. That is something which we do in PSIR paper 1, section B. And online students, do you not have access to this handout which I'm using to explain you the syllabus? If you don't have it, I'll tell the technical team to upload it for you. So within the next 5 minutes, it will be uploaded for all of you. So students, this Indian government and politics. GS paper 1, which was the first topic? Freedom struggle. What is the first topic here? Indian nationalism. In-depth study of Indian nationalism. What was the political strategy during our freedom struggle? What is how in India we saw emergence of constitutionalism, the non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement. During the freedom struggle also, students, you may be very well aware, there were 2 schools of thought, moderates and extremists. That is your in PSIR syllabus. You study in PSIR paper 1, section B. Then also, students, perspectives on Indian national movement. Different perspectives. There's a liberal perspective on our national movement, a socialist perspective, a Dalit perspective, radical humanist perspective, Marxist perspective. Imagine, students, an aspirant, a civil services aspirant who has developed expertise on these topics, who have developed expertise on theoretical viewpoints on India's freedom struggle. Do you think that student will have any problem answering questions in GS paper 1? With a simple and straightforward factual questions on freedom struggle? It would be a cakewalk for him or her. So that is the whole advantage which you have to notice. And also making of a Indian constitution. Making of Indian constitution. How, members of the Constituent Assembly was elected, and they played a very important role in making of the Indian constitution. But what are the different political perspectives which were present at that time in our society, which played a major role in making of and drafting of India's constitution? That also we study here. Then what are salient features of India's constitution? The preamble, fundamental rights, directive principles of a state policy, fundamental duties, then also the parliamentary democracy system which we have adopted, the basic structure doctrine which was given by the Honorable Supreme Court in the Keshwanandana Bharti case, the judicial review system which is there in Article 13 of India's constitution. These are basic features of India's constitution. These topics are also there here. And also then principal organs of the union government and the state government. Then also grassroots democracy, panchayati raj system, municipalities, 73rd and the 74th Amendment to the Constitution, statutory institutions, and also the constitutional commissions which we have in our country, which are there. For example, the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women, NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. So all this is also in the syllabus done. Then federalism, what kind of a federal structure India has adopted. There are many countries in the world which are federal students, but federal structure is also of different types. What kinds of federal structure India has adopted? What is the changing nature of our federal structure? Changing nature of relations between the union government and the state government. In the newspapers also you must be reading about how there is a growing amount of conflict between state governments and governor. You know about that? And these matters have been reported to Supreme Court. There are cases going on in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has given various judgments on that. In Delhi itself, if you are a Delhi citizen, you must be very well aware how there used to be a great deal of conflict with the Arvind Kejriwal government and Lieutenant Governor, the LG office. That is center-state relations. So that is also here in the syllabus which we discuss here. Then also planning and economic development. What kind of a planning model India has followed over the years? How Indian economy and India's path towards development has evolved over the years? As you must be very well aware, students, there used to be a time we used to have these 5-year plans. There used to be a planning commission. Now the planning commission has been replaced by Niti Aayog. As you must be very well aware, students, there used to be a time where India followed a socialistic path towards development, when India used to give more importance to public sector instead of a private sector. But since 1991, India has liberalized, privatized, and globalized, and now India gives more importance to private sector, private investments as compared to public sector. In fact, a lot of PSUs are being privatized. So how Indian economy over the years have evolved? How we did achieve liberalization, did economic reforms in 1991 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister and Narasimha Rao was the prime minister of the country. And that process of economic reforms is continuing till date. It is still not complete. That is also one of the topics here. Then also the role of caste, religion, and ethnicity in Indian politics. When you talk about Indian politics, do you think that there's a role of caste in Indian politics, in Indian elections? The core role of religion in Indian elections? Identity-based politics is done in India. That is also one of your chapters here. Then also party system of India. What kind of party system we have in India, students? Do you have any idea about it? Are we a single party system, two-party system, multi-party system? Multi-party system. Whereas America is a two-party system. In America, you have only two political parties, Democrats and Republicans. But here, as far as India is concerned, there are multiple parties. How these multiple parties over the years have emerged? And in these multiple parties which we have in India, there are national parties, there are also regional parties. What is their ideology? What is the social base? How we have seen in India, when I talk about party system, we must not ignore that we may have multiple parties, but we have seen an emergence of coalition era in India. In the coalition era, what do you see? You may have multiple parties, but you have two major alliances fighting elections against each other, which is now we are describing it as a binodal party system. Why binodal? Because of multiple parties in India, but all these multiple parties, they have joined two alliances. So the two power centers have emerged in Indian politics and they contest elections against each other. Which are those two power centers? Can you name the alliances, these two alliances? NDA alliance and the India alliance. You may have multiple political parties in India, but these multiple political parties have formed two major alliances, pre-poll alliances to fight elections. So how this has happened? The emergence of coalition era in Indian politics. And also the role played by pressure groups in Indian politics, interest groups in Indian politics. What is the electoral behavior of the voters in India? All this detailed studies done. Then also social movements in India. Women movements, environmental movements, farmer movements. The role played by social movements in Indian politics, role played by pressure groups in Indian politics, role played by political parties in Indian politics. This is what you study in chapter number 10 and 11 of PSIR paper 1. So this is your PSIR paper 1 syllabus, students, which is related to political theory and thought and Indian government and politics. And this Indian government politics syllabus completely overlaps with your GS paper 2. The next is, students, the syllabus of PSIR paper 2, which is given to you on page number 9 of your handout. This is PSI paper 2. Now, PSI paper 2 is also divided into 2 sections. That is, one is regarding comparative politics and IR theory, and the second one is India and the world, India's relationship with the world, Indian foreign policy. And you know, if your paper 1 is regarding domestic politics, paper 2 in PSIR is regarding international politics. And I must tell you, students, there is a great deal of difference between domestic politics and international politics. So both the papers are equally important. They're equally important. In paper 1, which we just discussed, PSI paper 1, you do in-depth study of political theory, politics, and domestic politics. And PSI paper 2 is majorly about international politics. And I'll have a brief discussion with you on international politics and PSI paper 2 also. In fact, in your PSIR course, in Vajiram and Ravi, all the lectures regarding PSI paper 2, I will teach PSI paper 2. I'll take all the classes regarding PSI paper 2. And my esteemed colleague, Dr. Sushant Verma, he will take lectures regarding the topics of PSIR paper 1. So the 2 faculty members who teach PSIR optional at our institute. Sushant sir, he will take your PSIR paper 1 classes, and I will take your PSIR paper 2 classes, which is regarding international relations. Political science and international relations. Political science is paper 1, international relations is paper 2. So paper 2, students, also has 2 sections. First is section A. Section A is regarding comparative politics and IR theory. So students, first 3 chapters of section A, PSI paper 2, section A, first 3 chapters, they are regarding comparative politics. What is comparative politics? Comparative politics, students, as the name suggests, comparative politics means that we must compare political systems of different countries. Comparing political systems of different countries, how they are similar and dissimilar with each other. This is known as comparative politics. And why should we do comparative politics, students? Because by doing comparative politics, we learn from the experiences of others. And that can help us develop a better political system in our own society. For example, students, India is a very young nation. Why I say India is a very young nation? Because we were born in 1947. Whereas there are other democratic countries which are as old as 200 years, 300 years in Europe and North America. So these European and American countries of North America, they have already undergone the evolution of development of a democratic political system. A democratic political system emerged in Europe and North America much before India. So they have already gone through the whole journey. And whatever problems they have encountered, if we do a study of that, we can learn from their failures. And we can implement their best practices in our own case. And this also helps us have a better understanding about international relations. That is, relations between the states of the world, relations between the countries of the world. Do you think when I talk about foreign policy, do you think domestic politics does play a role in formulation of foreign policy? For example, do you think because Donald Trump has got elected in America, the foreign policy of America has changed? The change in leadership, change in government also has an impact on change of a foreign policy. Therefore, it is very important, students, to study political systems of different countries and comparing political systems of different countries. This is called comparative politics. For example, you compare India's political system with the American political system. Both are democracies, but do you think they're exactly similar? Do you think they're a Xerox copy of each other? No. India is a parliamentary form of democracy and America is a presidential form of democracy. In India, the executive, the prime minister and the council of ministers, they are member of the legislature. They are part of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. But in America, the president and his cabinet is not part of the legislature of America. The presidential form of government is very different from the prime ministerial parliamentary form of democracy which we have. Our legislature, our lawmaking body is called parliament. What is the legislature of America called? What is legislature of America called? Yes, anybody? Congress, US Congress. US Congress is the legislature, lawmaking body of US. US Congress is not the branch of Indian National Congress in America. Don't have that misunderstanding. It is the legislature of America. It is also bicameral in nature. It also has two houses. The lower house is known as House of Representatives and the upper house is known as a Senate. So we have to compare political systems of different countries. Please address this problem. Get this uploaded. You check. Okay. So that is something which you have to, which we have to do. For example, students, what is the retirement age of judges of the Supreme Court in India? 65 years. What is the retirement age of judges of the Supreme Court of US? They never retire. They are judges till death. Okay, that is the criteria which the US has. So it is very fascinating. You have to compare political system of India with the political systems of other countries. You have to compare political systems of developed countries with the developing countries, capitalist countries with the socialist countries. This is called comparative politics. And that is what is mentioned in chapter 1, chapter 2. Chapter 1, different approaches are suggested to do comparative politics. There are different theoretical approaches which have been suggested to do comparison of different political systems. One is your political economy approach, then political sociology approach. In political economy approach, we do take into consideration role played by economic factors in development of a political system in a particular society. In the political sociology approach, we give importance to the social factors in development of political system of a particular society. Similarly, we also study what are the advantages and limitations of a comparative method. So that is your chapter 1. Chapter 2 is a state in comparative politics. That means how this institution of state has developed in different parts of the world. The development of state in the developed world and the developing world, rich world and the poor world, capitalist world and the socialist world. What is the difference? That is what we studied in chapter 2. Then also chapter 3, politics of representation and participation. That means how all over the world, not just in India, all over the world, what is the role of political parties, pressure groups, and social movements in politics? And how India's political parties are different from political parties of other nations. We do a comparative study, comparison between that. For example, students, can you draw certain differences? Can you point out certain differences between Indian political parties and political parties of, for example, US or Europe? Can you draw certain differences? Do you think in political parties which we have in India, do you have internal party democracy? Do you have internal party democracy in the political parties of India? No. In fact, in political parties of India, we see lack of internal democracy in the political party, and also we see dynasty rule. We see dynasty rule in India's political parties, where certain families have political parties, they run those political parties. They are undisputed leaders of those political parties. For example, you must be very well aware about the Gandhi family. Similar political parties you have in all neighbors of India. And that's a common feature of developing countries. In developing countries, even if they are democracies, political parties are dynasty oriented. They are individual oriented. They do not have intra-party democracy. For example, in Pakistan, you have political parties which are oriented regarding families like the Bhutto family. Are you aware about the Bhutto family? Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Today, one of his grandsons, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, is one of the, Bilawal Bhutto is one of the leaders in Pakistan. And Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's son-in-law, Asif Ali Zardari, is the president of Pakistan today. Similarly, you have the Sharif family, Nawaz Sharif, his brother, Shahbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif's daughter, Maryam Sharif. They're all leaders in Pakistan right now. So there are political parties in Pakistan also where you see dynasty rule. Similarly, political parties in Sri Lanka, you must have heard about Rajapaksa brothers. Similarly, political party in Bangladesh, you must have heard about Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and his daughter, Sheikh Hasina. And India also, you see political parties which are based on dynasty, on family rule, dynasty politics. Intra-party democracy is not there. This is a common feature of all developing countries. In all developing countries of the world, political parties, they lack intra-party democracy. Whereas in developed countries, political parties have great amount of intra-party democracy. In developed countries, political parties do not choose leaders on the basis of dynasty or family rule. So that is the difference. So there are many differences between political parties of the developing world and the developed world. In developing world, death of the leader may also result in death of a political party, because political party is based on the individual leader only. But that does not happen in the that doesn't happen in the developed world. So that is called comparative politics, students. We have to compare what the role of political parties in countries like India, in developing countries, and what is the role of political parties in the developed countries. Similarly, pressure groups, similarly, social movements. So these are first 3 chapters of your PSIR paper 2. And like I told you, the next chapter is regarding globalization, which is also in your GS syllabus. You also get essays on globalization. What is globalization? What is the impact of globalization on developed countries, on developing countries? Different theories to study globalization. A detailed study, in fact, in multiple chapters of the syllabus, globalization is mentioned. Then I always tell my students, the most important chapter of PSIR paper 2, the foundation of PSIR paper 2, if you want to excel in PSIR paper 2, the most important chapter is approaches to study international relations. When I start teaching PSIR paper 2, the first chapter I teach is this chapter, approach to study international relations. Because without having a mastery over this particular chapter, you cannot score good marks in PSIR paper 2. What do you mean by approaches to study IR? Approaches to study IR means theories to study IR. Different theoretical approaches have been recommended to study international relations. For example, there is an idealist approach. Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first prime minister, was an idealist. There is a realist approach. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was a realist. There is a Marxist approach. There is a system approach. There is a functional approach, social constructivist approach, postmodernist approach, feminist approach. Different theoretical approaches have been recommended to study international relations, which we study in this chapter, approaches study IR. And this is what will make your PSIR answers different from GS answers. One very common mistake which PSIR students do is that they end up writing GS-like answers in the PSIR paper, and they get very bad marks, very, very bad score, and then they get the shock of their life when they see the mark sheet. They get very bad marks. Why? Because they make a false assumption. They falsely assume that because PSIR syllabus overlaps with the GS syllabus, so I can write GS-like answers in the PSIR paper also. No, students, no. You can't do this. Other way around, it is true. If you are a PSIR student, you can easily attempt the GS questions. But if you think on the basis of your GS knowledge, you can attempt PSIR questions, you are grossly mistaken. You're grossly mistaken. Your PSIR answer has to be academically rich answer. It has to be different from your GS answers. So for example, students, in your GS question, in your GS paper 2, if you get a question, write a note on or analyze or critically analyze India-Pakistan relationship. Examine India-Pakistan relationship. If you get this question in your GS paper, you will do a factual analysis of India-Pakistan relations. What are disputes between India and Pakistan? You will list all those disputes. And what is India's approach and what is Pakistan's approach? You will mention that. By the way, what are disputes between India and Pakistan? Can you list any few? First of all, they have a border dispute. They have a territorial dispute. They have a dispute in Siachen. They have a dispute in Sar Creek. They have dispute regarding the territory of Kashmir. Kashmir territorial dispute. Pakistan has illegally occupied India's territory of Kashmir. Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Then what is the other dispute you can think of? Pakistan sponsoring terrorism against India, fighting a proxy war against India. Now you also have Indus water dispute between India and Pakistan. These are multiple disputes. In your GS paper, you will list these disputes. You will analyze the relation. That is all. Factual analysis. But the same question when you get in the PSIR paper, your approach will change. In the PSIR paper, they are expecting academic analysis from you, not a factual analysis. In the PSIR paper, while you are analyzing India-Pakistan relations, after mentioning the facts, you will have to do realist perspective of India-Pakistan relationship. You'll have to also write Marxist perspective of India-Pakistan relationship, idealist perspective of India-Pakistan relationship. You will have to use theories, IR theories, while writing your IR answers in PSIR paper. You'll have to use theories to recommend solutions. For example, you can recommend that in order to resolve tensions between India and Pakistan, they can follow theory of functionalism, like it has been followed by countries of Europe. So you'll have to use IR theories in your PSIR answers, which you are not expected to do in your GS answers. So these IR theories, students, approaches to study IR, they will make your PSIR answers different from GS answers. And that's why this chapter is so important. And each and every IR question you attempt in your PSIR paper 2, you will have to use IR theories. You will have to use IR theories. Therefore, this chapter is the foundation of PSIR paper 2, approaches to study international relations. The next one, students, is key concepts in IR. That means the most important concepts which we use in study of IR, which also you will use while writing IR answers in PSIR paper 2, which may not be required in a GS paper. For example, what is national interest? What is security? What is power? What is this concept called balance of power? The concept of nuclear deterrence, which you will use while studying India-Pakistan relations, while studying India-China relations, while studying US-Russia relations, US-China relations. Then also, the role played by transnational actors. What are transnational actors? Non-state actors, multinational corporations, NGOs, transnational terrorist networks, collective security, world capitalist economy, and globalization. Again, globalization. So these are the key concepts which we use to study international relations. A lot of students, they have this misunderstanding. They believe that, sir, PSIR is very dynamic. Do you see anything dynamic here? Don't you think this is entirely theoretical? Entirely theoretical. These are theoretical concepts which will never change. These are never going to change. You attempt paper this year or you attempt paper after 20 years, it will never going to change. So these are highly scoring areas also. Then also, students, you must understand that international politics is not a static domain. International politics always keep on changing. International politics is dynamic. It evolves. For example, students, do you know about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? These nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, were dropped by which country? US. US did a nuclear attack on Japan during the Second World War. This is the worst thing you can do to any country. Worst thing you can do to any country is drop nuclear weapons on that country. There's nothing worse than that. That means Japan and US were great rivals of each other during Second World War. What is the relationship of Japan and US today? They are great friends. Japan and US are one of the best friends. They are military alliance partners. The countries which were enemies yesterday, today they are friends. What was the relationship between India and the US 40 years ago? Do you think India and US were friends? No. US had a very friendly relationship with Pakistan, and India was more closer to this country called USSR, Soviet Union. But today, India and US have developed a very close relationship. US-Pakistan relationship has deteriorated, and Pakistan is now developing closeness with America's rival, which is China. Do you know about Israel? India-Israel relations? What is the kind of relationship India and Israel used to have in the previous century? We did not have a good relationship. In fact, India was more supportive of Palestine instead of Israel. In fact, we had no diplomatic relations with Israel in the previous century. Only after 1991, India developed diplomatic relations with Israel. So we did not have a very close relationship with Israel in the previous century. But now today, India and Israel are very good friends. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, have you heard about him? Benjamin Netanyahu says, India-Israel marriage is made in heaven. That is the kind of relationship we enjoy today with Israel. So what I'm trying to tell you is that international politics, relations between states, they keep on changing. Political order keeps on changing. There was a time when the world was bipolar in nature. Then it became unipolar in nature. Now it is becoming a multipolar. There was a time when India used to follow policy of non-alignment. Now we follow policy of a multi-alignment. There used to be a Cold War period. Now we are living in a post-Cold War period, and we are heading towards a new Cold War between US and China. So this is evolution of international politics. This is in your syllabus. How after Second World War we saw rise of superpowers. How we saw emergence of Cold War, end of Cold War, disintegration of Soviet Union, non-alignment policy. How the world has evolved, how world politics have evolved in the last 70 to 75 years, that is also in your PSIR syllabus. This is history of IR. How in the last 70 years IR has evolved after Second World War. That is also in your syllabus. We do an in-depth study. Then also evolution of a international economic system. That is the Bretton Woods organizations. You know what are Bretton Woods organizations? Bretton Woods organizations are IMF, World Bank, even WTO. Earlier it was GATS, which now has been replaced by WTO, World Trade Organization. Why they are called Bretton Woods, students? During Second World War, major countries of the world, they had a meeting, they had a conference in a resort town in New Hampshire in US. And the name of that resort town was Bretton Woods. Bretton Woods was the venue of the conference. Many major countries of the world, they had a conference in Bretton Woods. And in Bretton Woods conference, they decided that they will establish international economic institutions like IMF and World Bank. So agreement was signed in Bretton Woods, which is known as Bretton Woods Agreement. That is why IMF and World Bank are also described as Bretton Woods institutions. So that is also in our syllabus. Role of IMF, World Bank. Pakistan, most of the times, is at the doors of IMF with a begging bowl in their hand. They're always seeking bailout packages from IMF. Why IMF gives bailout packages to poor countries like Pakistan? What is role of IMF in the world? How IMF and World Bank, they take their decisions? What role US has in IMF and World Bank? And also WTO, World Trade Organization, which is there to encourage free trade. All these topics also we study in PSI paper 2. International economic system. Then also international organizations like UN is in the syllabus. Very important topic of the syllabus. What is UN? What is the role of UN? Purpose of UN? Objectives of UN? Structure of UN? Has UN been successful or not? Does it need changes? UN reforms. What is India's study? What is India's role in UN? What is India's contribution to UN? India has been supporting UN reforms. India has been supporting that United Nations needs urgent changes, urgent reforms. India wants to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. So that is also what we study. Then also UN, students, is an international organization. Similarly, there are regional organizations. Regionalization of world politics. For regional organizations are those organizations where a particular region, countries of a particular region, they join to develop a regional organization. For example, European countries have formed an organization called European Union. African countries have formed an organization called African Union. South Asian countries have formed an organization called SAARC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. Southeast Asian countries have formed an organization called ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Countries located on the Bay of Bengal has formed an organization called BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative of Multi-Sectoral Technological and Economic Cooperation. These are called regional organizations. They are also in our syllabus. Then also, students, contemporary global concerns. What are major global concerns today? What is the status of democracy in the world today? What is the state of human rights in the world today? Environment, I told you, is a very important topic. Climate change, global warming, gender justice, feminist theory to study international relations, gender justice. In IR, students, do you think that one of the biggest problems in IR is war? Do you think in international relations, one of the biggest problems is conflict and war? States, they fight war against each other. Who are the biggest sufferers in the war? The biggest sufferers in the war is women and children. And women perspectives are ignored in study of IR. IR is a gender blind discipline. Gender issues should be highlighted in study of IR. Gender justice is required. How many women secretary generals of UN you have seen? Can you name any women secretary general of UN? Zero. United Nations have never had a women secretary general. That means in all the major important positions of the world, women are not given equal opportunities. Women perspectives are ignored. Gender justice in IR. Terrorism, also nuclear proliferation. What's nuclear proliferation? Spread of nuclear weapons. So these are, students, all these interesting topics regarding IR is in PSIR paper 2 section A. Then you also have PSIR paper 2 section B. Now PSIR paper 2 section A is theoretical. That is IR theory, IR concepts, international organizations. And PSIR paper 2 section B is regarding Indian foreign policy. That is India and the world. Indian foreign policy. So section B of PSIR paper 2 is specifically regarding India and its foreign policy. What is India's relationship with the world? India's connect with the world. India and the world. So we do that in-depth study in section B. First chapter is Indian foreign policy. What are determinants of Indian foreign policy? What do you mean by determinants? Determinant means factors which play a role in formulating a Indian foreign policy. Can you name those factors? Do you think culture plays a role? Do you think history plays a role? Geography plays a role? Leadership plays a role? These are important factors which play a role in formulating Indian foreign policy. These are described as determinants of Indian foreign policy. Your geography, your location, your history, your culture, it is a very important fact. These are very important factors which play a role in formulating your foreign policy. At the same time, students, in this chapter, you also have this topic, institutions of foreign policy making. That means which institutions in India are responsible for making India's foreign policy. So which are those institutions? Do you think Prime Minister's office, PMO, plays a role? Do you think NSA plays a role? Who is NSA? Mr. Ajit Doval, National Security Advisor. Do you think National Security Council plays a role? You recently had the NSC meeting during the Operation Sindoor. National Security Council. Then you have the cabinet. Then you have a parliament. You have Ministry of External Affairs. You have think tanks in India. These are important institutions which play an important role in formulating India's foreign policies. Role of universities, think tanks, media also we study. So this is your chapter 1. How Indian foreign policy is developed and how it over the years have evolved. You see continuity in Indian foreign policy. You also see change in Indian foreign policy. Which changes have happened? So in-depth study is done. Then also, what has been India's contribution to non-aligned movement? India during Cold War period followed the policy of a non-alignment. As a result of which non-aligned movement emerged, NAM movement emerged in the world. Our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was the founding father of the NAM movement. And either is non-alignment still relevant or not? If relevant, why relevant? Not relevant, why not relevant? And what is India's present policy? India's present policy is that India is now transitioning from non-alignment towards multi-alignment. So that is your chapter 2. Chapter 3 is India and South Asia. India's relationship with its South Asian neighbors. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan. These are India's South Asian neighbors. They're also members of an organization called SAARC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation. What problems India has with these South Asian neighbors? What disputes are there? Refugee issues, water disputes, failure of SAARC, why SAARC has failed. Then also India's relationship with the Southeast Asia, which we can study by analyzing India's policy called Look East policy, which now has been renamed as a Act East policy. So that is this India's relationship with South Asia and Southeast Asia. Then also India's relationship with the global South. What is global South, students? Majority of the rich countries of the world are located in the northern hemisphere. Again, I say majority, not all. Of course, there will be exceptions also. And majority of the poor countries of the world are located in the southern hemisphere. So the rich world is known as global north. The poor world is known as global south. And India has always been the voice of the global south. India has always championed the causes of the global south. India has always campaigned for concerns of the global south. India recently hosted the Voice of the Global South Summit. India recently hosted G20 summit, during which African Union was made member of a G20. It was India's initiative. So how India has always helped global south, countries of Africa, countries of Latin America. What is Latin America? South America. How India has campaigned for the issues of global south at all world platforms. Then India's relationship with the global centers of power. Which are global centers of power? US, European Union, Japan, China, Russia. India's relationship with these countries. Then, like I told you, what is India's role in the UN system? India has contributed highest number of troops for the UN peacekeeping operations. India had also sent an all-women contingent to UN peacekeeping operations, giving more opportunities to women in UN operations. So India's role, India wants to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council. And India and the nuclear question. Why is India and the nuclear question so important, students? Why? Because India is a nuclear weapon state. So it is very important to study what is India's nuclear doctrine, which is based on the principle no first use. What is India's perspective on nuclear disarmament? What is India's perspective on nuclear proliferation? How is India enjoying nuclear deterrence? What is role of India's nuclear weapons in its national security? All these topics also we have to study. Then also India's relationship with West Asia. India and West Asia, which includes countries like Israel also, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. Recently, you must have seen President Trump visiting these countries. So India and West Asia is also in the syllabus. That chapter is typing error not mentioned in the handout, but that chapter is also part of the syllabus. India and West Asia, and India and the world order. What is India's perspective on the world order? India supports a multipolar world. So these are all the chapters which are there in PSIR paper 2, section B. So this is your syllabus on PSIR paper 2. PSIR paper 1 is domestic politics and political theory. PSIR paper 2 is international politics. So this is the syllabus as far as political science and international relations optional paper is concerned. Now, lastly, students, I will discuss with you that what approach is required to cover PSIR and what approach we follow here as far as our institute is concerned in Vajiram and Ravi, what approach we follow while teaching PSIR optional here. That also I'd like to discuss with you. And the approach is also mentioned in the handout for you. It's on page number 4 of your handout. Suppose page number 4 of your handout, where I'll tell you that what approach you have to follow if you want to cover this paper PSIR comprehensively. After years of experience, we have been able to nail down to this particular approach in our classroom program, which we follow to help our students to prepare political science and international relations optional paper, which has given us great results. Great results as far as the amount of students getting selected in the civil services examination. So first of all, students, our target always is to give, here in our institute, our target is to give students one-stop solution for their optional preparation. One-stop solution. Once you are here with us for 5 to 6 months, you will be exam ready. You will be exam ready. From next day itself, you are exam ready. You are perfectly prepared for attempting PSIR questions in the exam. How will that happen? That will happen because students, in our classroom preparation, our approach always is that we focus on conceptual clarity and in-depth theoretical understanding. You will do good in optional paper, students, if you have crystal clear conceptual clarity and in-depth theoretical understanding of all topics of PSIR paper 1 and PSIR paper 2. Just rote learning of notes, will not help you succeed in this examination. If you have conceptual clarity and theoretical understanding, then only students you can understand the requirement of the questions. Then only you can do well in this examination. Otherwise, you will struggle. So UPSC also, in all their questions, they do not like to test your capability of rote learning. They like to test your conceptual clarity and theoretical understanding of PSIR topics. And that is always our priority, to help our students develop this conceptual clarity and theoretical understanding. Which will happen how? Which will happen if we focus on lucid explanation of the topics in the class instead of mere dictation of notes. You are not, toddlers now, that I make you sit here and then I sit on the chair, on this cozy, comfortable chair, and I start dictating notes, and you start writing notes for 2 hours. Notes are anyways available in the market. What is the point of coming to the classroom if there is no explanation of the topic? Therefore, our approach, students, is that for each and every topic of the syllabus, we give you notes, typed notes. You will get class handouts. These handouts, these will be your class notes. They will be typed notes for the topics which we are going to discuss in the classroom. Like today also, you must have got a handout on India's soft power, concept of a soft power. Similar notes you will get on each and every topic we discuss in the class. These are your class notes. This is exam-ready study material which we will give you. There will be no need for you to buy any books, to refer to any extra resources. Very comprehensive, exam-specific, concise, and well-researched study material will be given to you in the classes, which will be more than sufficient to attempt all the questions in the exam. Much more than sufficient. Even on dynamic topics, if new developments happen, we keep on giving you notes for that also. For example, students, you may be aware, today we make use of advancements in technology, and you will all have access to a student portal on the website. So if any new development takes place, updated handout on new developments is also put on the portal for you, so that you can have access. Even after the course finishes, we are not going to leave you till you succeed in this examination. Till your last day in this struggle will be there for you. So exam-ready study material will be given to you on all topics. But in the classroom, we're not going to waste time on dictating notes. In classroom, the entire focus will be on an explanation, so that you understand the topic. That is more important. Once you understand, then you can read the handout, and then it's simple. Handout will have, the class typed handout will have everything what we discuss in the class. And that is the approach which we follow. Lucid explanation of the topic, instead of just making you dictate notes, and you get frustrated, and you, at the end of the day, you have that feeling that I don't know the topic. मुझे समझ तो कुछ आया नहीं है, ये topic है क्या? कि क्या है ये Aristotle, Plato, मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा है. But आपने लिखवा दिया है, बस मैं क्या करूं इस लिखे हुए को? When I do not know the topic, when I do not have conceptual understanding, and especially those students who do not have a humanities background. Students who do not have a humanities background, they need a lot of explanation regarding thought, regarding theory, regarding IR theory. So this is very important. That approach we follow here. Then also, students, we respect your time as well. Our institute, if you're already associated with our institute, you must be very well aware, we're extremely professional the way we conduct our classes. Extremely professional. And you would not get any unnecessary breaks. 7 days a week you will have a class. Our commitment is that we'll finish the course within 5.5 months. Within 5.5 months, we finish the course. And this is our commitment, which we fulfill every year. You can ask our previous students also. If there is some, unforeseen circumstances, for example, if some faculty may fall ill or something may happen, because of which the course may get extended just by a couple of weeks. If not 5.5 months, maximum 6 months. That is all. And the course is over. This is not a PSIR course which will run for the whole entire year, or probably even after the exam. So this is time-bound manner, syllabus is completed. In a time-bound manner, the syllabus, comprehensive coverage of the syllabus is done. Comprehensive coverage of the syllabus. We respect your time, students. You are here for a task and we respect your time. You all are paying a very heavy opportunity cost because you are preparing for a civil services. You know what is opportunity cost? You know the concept of opportunity cost? You're all paying a very heavy opportunity cost because you have opted to prepare for civil services. You may not realize it, we realize it. Because we are more experienced. We have seen more life than you. And we know how heavy opportunity cost you are paying. Many of your classmates, your schoolmates, your college mates who are not preparing for civil services today must be pursuing alternative career opportunities. And they must be doing good in life. They're progressing in life. But you have decided to push a pause button on your career because you want to prepare for a civil services. So you are foregoing all those opportunities. So a very heavy opportunity cost you are paying because you want to prepare for civil services, and we respect your time. Therefore, the commitment, the word is the word that it has to be finished in a time-bound manner, comprehensive coverage of syllabus in time-bound manner within 6 months. Well, within 6 months, even we have been able to do it in 5.5 months also in certain cases. So that is how we do time-bound, and no way it goes beyond 6 months. Never, ever. That is our commitment for you with time-bound coverage of the syllabus. Then also, I told you, exam-ready, well-researched, concise study material will be given to you. You know, the handout which I shared with you today, in that I have also given you reading list for paper 1 and paper 2 both. Okay, somebody who wants to prepare on its own, doesn't want to join a classroom program, wants to prepare PSIR on his own or on her own, then they are required to read this reading list. All these multiple books they will have to read to prepare PSIR syllabus. But our students are not supposed to do this reading list, because our students will get notes, ready-made notes, notes which are made from these books only, these resources only, as per the requirement of the examination. And therefore, no extra study material you will have to refer to. No reading list you will have to follow if you are part of our classroom program. So there you will get ready-made study material here based on the reading list which I've given to you. Why do you join a classroom program, students, for optional preparation? You want that your job should become easy, and that's how it becomes easy. And also, students, we also focus on interlinkages, because there's a lot of interlinkage between PSIR paper 1 and paper 2. And where there is an interlinkage, those topics are taught together, not separately. Again, to help the students. Then also, I told you we are 2 faculty members, Sushant sir and myself, and we give personalized guidance and mentorship to our students. We will always have this group of students with us, this Telegram group, where we always stay in touch. Whatever doubts you may have, we will address those doubts. We're never going to leave you till the time you are not able to qualify the exam. If you have the commitment to go through the grill, we also have the same commitment to accompany you through the uncharted waters of a civil services preparation and guide you and mentor you on a daily basis. Then also, students, our class is never a monologue. It is very interactive. We try and bring out the best out of you also. What is your perspective on various topics? And also, one of the most important features of our classroom program, students, is we discuss all previous year questions which are there. Only one book we will tell you to buy. And which is that book? That is the PYQ booklet. The previous year question booklet we tell you to buy, that's worth 100 rupees. Small booklet available in the market, which have all previous year questions of PSIR, chapter wise, topic wise. So whenever we finish discussing any one chapter, after the discussion on the chapter, we discuss all the previous year questions which have been asked from that chapter in the exam, which will give students and which will give you a lot of confidence that this is a chapter which I have done and these are the previous year questions. I'll be able to attempt all of them, which gives you a lot of confidence to appear for the examination. And also, you academically, it helps you what approach you have to follow while attempting questions. Then there will be regular answer writing workshops during the course. Answer writing program is an integral part of the PSIR course here. No separate answer writing program you have to join. No separate program you have to join. Within the course, there is integrated answer writing program. There will be weekly test. Every weekend you will have a test, PSIR test. On the topics which we have studied during the week, there'll be a small weekly test, couple of questions every weekend. Then every fortnight you will have a sectional test. Sectional test means where there will be more questions, longer test, 150 marks. Then after finishing the syllabus, you will have full length test. Total throughout 6 months, you will have 30 to 40 tests to attempt during the course, on which you will get detailed feedback and also model answers for all those tests, questions which were asked. And detailed feedback and evaluation is given to you. So answer writing program is an integral part of the course. Both offline and online students will be able to participate in test writing. For online students, we will have a portal on weekly and sectional PSIR tests, where they can submit their answer scripts and we will digitally evaluate and give them the feedback. So answer writing program is an integral part of the course. And from our years of experience, students, I can tell you, 50% is optional preparation. That means study of the syllabus. 50% is your answer writing ability. Because it is a written test. You will never get a chance to meet the examiner. You will not be able to meet him and tell him how much you know. He would judge you on the basis of what you have written. So if you have good writing abilities, then only you can reproduce in the exam what you know. Then only you can prove the point in the exam that you have knowledge about all the topics. That is why what we study in the class, you should be able to replicate that in your answer scripts. For that, you must develop very good answer writing abilities in a time-bound manner, also adhering to word limit, which, trust me, students, is not easy. It is not easy. It needs hard work to develop good answer writing abilities. So from day one itself, answer writing program will be part of the course. Previous year questions will be discussed, all PYQs, weekly tests, sectional tests will be held, and answer writing workshops will be held with you in order to also help your answer writing abilities. Then only you are bound to succeed in this examination. Otherwise, you will struggle. And students, you have to be smart candidates. Nature of this exam is changing. It is changing. Have you seen the calendar released yesterday? Are you aware? Yesterday, UPSC calendar was released. What is the gap between the prelims paper and the mains paper? Do you know how much is the gap? Less than 3 months. Less than 3 months, 2 months and 20 days, around 20 days is the gap between the prelims paper and the mains paper. Now, a lot of students have this misunderstanding that once I clear prelims exam, then I will join some optional answer writing program, develop answer writing and attempt in the mains paper. Do you think 2.5 months would be sufficient to do all this? No. 2.5 months would not be sufficient to study, revise, and also to develop the answer writing ability. So smart candidates will understand this. And they will understand this. The nature of the UPSC calendar is changing. Gap between prelims and mains every year is shortening. Therefore, I will have to develop answer writing ability before I write the prelims paper. You can't wait for that day when I qualify the prelims paper. And we understand that. That is why within the optional course, there will be this answer writing program. And students who diligently follow our answer writing program within the optional course, within 6 months, they are exam ready. They write brilliant, superb answers. Their answer writing ability has already been developed. And that is the approach which you will follow. Then only you will succeed in this examination. Attempting PYQs, discussing PYQs, doing answer writing on a weekly basis, that is very important. And that is an integral part of our course. Integral part of our course. And you will have a 2.5-hour lecture every day, 7 days a week. And all updated content regarding newspapers and journals would also be provided to you. So this approach we follow to cover this PSIR optional very comprehensively at our institute. So these are the topics regarding PSI optional, issues regarding PSI optional, which I wanted to discuss with you to help you make a reasoned choice regarding the PSIR optional paper. So I hope the discussion must have been helpful for you. This will help you in deciding which option you should choose and why you should choose. Now, if you have any questions, I will open up the floor for the Q&A session. I have discussed whatever I wanted to discuss. So now I open up for Q&A. If you have any questions, students, feel free to ask your questions. Any doubts you have? Yes, go ahead, students. It will start on first week of July. First week of July, last week of June or first week of July, tentative that date, exact date has not been released right now. But as far as I know, it will be last week of June or first week of July. And within 5.5 months, your course will be over. That means by maximum first or second week of December, your PSIR course will be over and you will have sufficient time to prepare for your prelims examination. So it is an ideal time to start. If you start your course in June or July, by the end of December, you are over with the course. And then you get sufficient time to prepare for your prelims paper. Okay. Yes, anything else? Yes. 11 a.m. will be the optional batch. And 11 a.m., like I told you, last week of June or somewhere around that, it will start. 11 a.m. Okay. Yes. Yes. Then we can make an adjustment for you. We can change your GS batch. Optional batch, of course, would not be possible to change, but GS batch you can change. You can shift to the 2:30 slot or to the 7:30 slot, whichever you want. Okay, so that adjustment they will do for you. So whichever batch must have started along with your batch. Yours is P1, so I think P1 and P2 had started together. So you can shift to the P2 batch or P3 batch. That adjustment can be done. Okay. Anything else, students? Any other doubts you have regarding the optional paper? Yes. Yeah. Yes. Not at all, students. Not at all. You must have seen the data yourself. There's so many non-humanities students who have been able to crack this exam with the help of the PSIR optional paper. It depends upon the kind of guidance you get. The non-humanities students, they do very well. They are able to grasp PSIR very well. And non-humanities students, they benefit from PSIR. Why? Once they develop expertise in PSIR, it also helps them in the GS topics which are related to humanities. In GS also, you have history, you have politics, you have ideologies, and they become comfortable with those topics also. So they're able to do very well. Easily you will be able to cover. Easily you'll be able to cover, provided you get good guidance. You get good guidance, because like I told you, conceptual clarity is very important. If you're sitting somewhere where they're only dictating notes to you, then my dear friend, it will be difficult, because you need conceptual understanding, theoretical understanding, because you do not have humanities background. Notes anyways is available in the market. If you only have to go to a classroom and write notes, तो वो तो मिल ही जाएंगे बाहर. क्लासरूम में जाना ही क्यों है फिर? क्लासरूम में यहाँ आए हो तो आपको क्या चाहिए कि आपको कोई बिठा के यहाँ समझाए एग्जाम्पल्स के साथ, इन डेप्थ अंडरस्टैंडिंग के साथ कि इस कॉन्सेप्ट का अगर लिबरलिज्म है तो लिबरलिज्म, व्हाट इज लिबरलिज्म, होता क्या है लिबरलिज्म. सो वो बहुत जरूरी है, वो आपको जरूरी है, वो आपको मिलेगा, गुड गाइडेंस मिलेगा, यू विल बी इजीली एबल टू क्वालिफाइड. Your non-humanities background will not be a hurdle in covering PSIR. In fact, PSIR will help you. In fact, non-humanities students, they tend to do well at times. Why? And my humanities friends, they often get offended when I say this, that my humanities friends, they have a problem, overconfidence, because they believe that they have done political science honors, BA in political science, BA in history. So they believe that they are already having an edge over others. So they don't put in the amount of hard work which is required. So they tend to get overconfident, which works against them. And non-humanities students, they know that they have to do it diligently from day one itself. They do it very well. And they also strictly follow instructions of their mentors and teachers. So they tend to do well. So even for my humanities friends, I would like to caution them that yes, of course, you may have ease in understanding topics, but that doesn't mean that you become a overconfident. वो बचपन में वो कहानी सुनी है चूहे या कछुए वाली? सुनी है? Do you know that? वही होता है. तुम्हें लगता है तुम चूहा हो, वो rabbit and tortoise, but जो कछुआ है वो आगे निकल जाता है. क्यों? क्योंकि तुम सोते रह जाते हो और वो मेहनत करता रहता है. So इसलिए you will see in the final list a lot of non-humanities students that do very well because they know they have to cover it. They know it is not going to be easy. So from day one itself, they are highly motivated to put in that hard work. But my humanities friends, they have this problem. I always caution them. My humanities students have also done very well in the paper. But there are many humanities students who are very good, but they do not do well because they are overconfident. So irrespective of, my whole point is, irrespective of whichever background you belong to, you may be a humanities student or you may be a non-humanities students, you all will have to put in the required amount of hard work, and with the right guidance, you will be able to succeed. Anything else, students? Yes. That is again, students, a question which I cannot answer. I have already told you that there are two criteria which you have to see to choose your optional paper. Which are those two criteria? First is your academic interest. Second is the winnability criteria, the probability of success. Okay, so you have to answer these questions yourself, whether you are more interested in political science or public administration. You read the syllabus of both the optional papers, look at PYQs. PSIR today you have done already, do it for PubEd also. There'll be a PubEd workshop also we'll have hold with PubEd faculties. You interact with them, then ask this question to yourself. मैं तुम्हें बोल दूं pick up this optional paper, you don't have interest in this, whole life you will curse me that sir misguided me, मुझे तो ये अच्छा ही नहीं लगता था, मुझे क्यों दिलवा दिया. So if you are interested in the paper, then only you can do. So both criteria should be there. First is your interest, second is the possibility of success. Do that and you will get your answer. Okay. Yes. How? In the classroom. In the classroom itself. For example, the day when we have the weekly test, we will not have a 2.5 hour class. That day we'll have a 1.5 hour class. And the last 1 hour will be the test, will be held in the classroom itself. Then of course you will submit your scripts here. You write the test and then you submit here. You submit with the attendant here and we'll evaluate it and get back to you. You'll get the same test scripts in your classroom itself. Same will be for online students. Anything else? But you'll have to do it. You'll have to do it because both you have to prepare. In fact, the students who are managing GS optional and CSAT, all three. So you have to do it because you can't take it step by step. That if you do once GS, then optional, then CSAT, it will take 2.5 years. So you don't have that luxury of time. So you have to plan your day in such a manner that you should be at least be able to attend 2 lectures, GS lecture also and the optional lecture, and then revise both also on a daily basis. You will have to change your entire daily routine in order to prepare for this exam. You'll have to make sacrifices. You'll have to come out of your comfort zone. Fine. If you're feeling very comfortable preparing, that means you are not preparing. If you are still, that means you're still in a comfort zone. You have to come out of your comfort zone, which means wake up early. Throughout the day, you have to work hard. You'll have to cut down on your leisurely activities, cut down on screen time, cut down on hanging out with your friends. When you will do all of that, then you start feeling uncomfortable. That means you are preparing. Okay. If you are still in a comfort zone, आराम से आते हैं, 2.5 घंटा क्लास किया, फिर चाय पिया, इधर घूमा फिरा, थोड़ा पिक्चर भी देख लिया, दोस्तों साथ भी घूम लिया, इसका मतलब तैयारी तो हो नहीं रही बेटा, तैयारी तो हो ही नहीं रही, और आपको लग रहा है मैं कैसे करूं? आपको अपना लाइफ रूटीन चेंज करना पड़ेगा, तभी इस एग्जाम की तैयारी होगी. आपको 1-1.5 साल बहुत सैक्रिफाइस करना पड़ेगा. Then only you'll be able to prepare and succeed in the exam. That changes in your life you'll have to bring. Okay. You are in your middle of the graduation right now. Which year? So then you even have, then it is up to you. You can even do the optional course next year also then. Next year also. But if you, the more sooner you do will be better for you. Then you get more time for self-study. So if you can manage now, then it's okay. Otherwise you can do next year as well. Okay. Because you have the luxury of time. But if somebody who's already a graduate does not have the luxury of time. Okay. Anything else? Yes. हाँ 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 ये बिल्कुल ही गलत धारणा है बेटा कि पीएसआईआर में न्यूज़पेपर का रोल ज्यादा है। ये बिल्कुल गलत है। क्यों गलत है? पूरे एग्जाम में न्यूज़पेपर का रोल ज्यादा है। सिर्फ पीएसआईआर में नहीं, जीएस में भी, एथिक्स में भी, एससी में भी, हर एक इम्तिहान में जो आप लिखोगे सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए, उसमें न्यूज़पेपर का रोल है, सिर्फ पीएसआईआर में नहीं। So if you want to succeed in this exam, you will have to develop the habit of reading the newspaper, irrespective of the fact whether you opt for PSIR or not. Whatever optional paper you may opt for, irrespective of that, you'll have to develop the habit of reading the newspapers. So ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि सिर्फ PSIR के लिए ही अखबार पढ़ना पड़ता है, नहीं, आपको सारे बाकी सिलेबस के लिए भी अखबार पढ़ना पड़ता है। तो इसका तो बेटा आपका क्या नाम है? हाँ जी, आदर्श। ओके, आदर्श, ये तो तुम्हें इसका हल ढूंढना पड़ेगा। हल इसका ढूंढना ही पड़ेगा। अगर आप अखबार पढ़ना आपको नहीं अच्छा लगता, फिर ये एग्जाम नहीं हो पाएगा। आप चाहे कोई भी ऑप्शन ले लो, आप फिर ऐसे कैसे लिखोगे बेटा? आप फिर जीएस के क्वेश्चंस कैसे करोगे? इंटरव्यू कैसे दोगे? नहीं, वो तो वो रोज सुबह का दिनचर्या बनाना पड़ेगा। फिर हम नौकरी कैसे करोगे बेटा? आपको वही है ना, आप अपने कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर नहीं आना चाहते। ये एग्जाम का प्रोसेस ऐसे बनाया गया है कि आपको डिसिप्लिन किया जाए। आप अगर सिविल सर्वेंट बन भी जाते हो तो फिर आप नौकरी भी नहीं कर पाओगे। आप बोलोगे कितना बोरिंग है सर, सुबह उठ के ऑफिस जाना पड़ता है सर, वहां पे फाइल पड़ी होती है, पढ़नी पड़ती है, कोई और पढ़ के बता दे मुझे, मैं बस साइन कर दूं। ठीक है ना? तो ये आपको अपने कंफर्ट जोन में से बाहर आना पड़ेगा। आपको आपके पिताजी अखबार पढ़ते होंगे घर पे, आपके ग्रैंडफादर पढ़ते होंगे, ग्रैंड मदर पढ़ते होंगे, नीचे हमारा सिक्योरिटी गार्ड पढ़ रहा होगा, अभी चले जाओ वो। हाँ, तो दैनिक भास्कर पढ़ रहा, आप हिंदू पढ़ो, आप इंडियन एक्सप्रेस पढ़ो, उसको नहीं अंग्रेजी अखबार पढ़ना आता है। ठीक है ना? पढ़ तो रहा है ना अखबार। तो अखबार पढ़ना तो किसी भी पढ़े लिखे आदमी का दिनचर्या की रूटीन का पार्ट होना चाहिए। नहीं, वो नहीं, ये तुम्हारी मिसकंसेप्शन है। पिक्चर के बारे में नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं, वो भारतीय राजनीति के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, अंतरराष्ट्रीय राजनीति के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं, भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं। ये आपकी गलतफहमी है कि आप जो भी अखबार पढ़ रहा है पिक्चर के बारे में पढ़ रहा है। पेज 3 न्यूज नहीं पढ़ते हैं सब। सो ऐसा नहीं है बेटा। आपको ये, यू विल हैव टू ब्रिंग दिस चेंज इन योर लाइफ। यू हैव टू डेवलप अ लव फॉर रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर, हैबिट ऑफ रीडिंग द न्यूज़पेपर। आप जब कोई भी हैबिट डेवलप करते हो, इट इज नॉट इजी, इट टेक्स टाइम। जो भी काम हमने नहीं किया होता ना कभी, जब उसको पहली बार करना शुरू करते हैं तो वो अच्छा नहीं लगता है, बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लगता है। But you should not give up. You should keep on reading it. When you will keep on doing it, then you will develop the habit of doing it. Developing habits is very difficult. It's not easy. Don't have superhuman expectations from yourself. Many of you must be having this expectation that first day I will pick up the newspaper, I will read it, I will love reading it, and I will understand everything also. If you have that expectation from yourself, तो तुम तो अपने साथ ही ज्यादती कर रहे हो। ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है। फर्स्ट डे व्हेन यू रीड द न्यूज़पेपर यू विल हेट इट, नेचुरल है ये। बहुत सारी चीजें समझ भी नहीं आएंगी, शायद अंग्रेजी भाषा भी ना समझ आए, बहुत सारे वर्ड्स ऑफ वोकैबुलरी समझना है, वो होगा। बट व्हेन यू विल कीप ऑन डूइंग इट ऑन अ डेली बेसिस, all these things will start falling into place. Your English vocabulary will also improve. Your English writing skills will also improve when you read articles and editorials on a daily basis. Okay, this everything, it helps you. It's like intellectual meditation. और ये आपको चेंजेस लाने पड़ेंगे, तभी आपका सक्सेस का चांस है। अदरवाइज फिर आप जुगाड़ सोल्यूशन ढूंढते रहोगे और जुगाड़ सोल्यूशन से क्लियर होता नहीं है। फील गुड फैक्टर आता है, क्या मैंने अखबार नहीं पढ़ा बट मैंने कोई जुगाड़ कर लिया है, मैं कितना स्मार्ट हूं। ठीक है, तो अच्छा लगता है थोड़ी देर के लिए, फील गुड फैक्टर लगता है, बट एक्चुअली वो वर्क नहीं करता एंड में, इट डजंट वर्क। ओके, एनीथिंग एल्स? यस। Comprehensive and I will tell you how it doesn't go, how it is possible. If we make you sit here and dictate you notes on all topics, then it is not possible to complete in 6 months. You get the point? But what we do is that whatever we discuss in the class, we give you typed handout. Like you must have got a typed handout today on soft power. So while doing this, what happens is we save time. We save a lot of time which is unnecessarily spent on just dictation. And we save that time. That time we use in explanation of the topic. That time we use in discussing previous year questions also. That is how we make it possible. If I have to dictate all my handouts to you, I also need 1 year. I also need 10 to 11 months. So that approach, we developed an approach to cover maximum in minimum possible time, and 7 days a week class also. That's how it made possible. Okay. Anything else, students? Any doubts? Online students, do you have any more doubts here on that tab? Yeah. If you are attempting the exam next year, you have to do it, students. This year itself, you'll have to complete your optional student, optional batch. You have to optional syllabus. You'll have to do this year itself. The batch I told you will start by the end of June or maximum first week of July. Yes, the online students also get recorded videos. That, of course, you'll get that access. Even the offline students get the recorded videos. But my advice to you as your mentor is that please attend the classes live. And in a live mode, if you're online student and if you're offline student, come to the class and attend the class. The recorded video should only be seen as a backup if you somehow miss the lecture. Okay, don't just depend on that. And this unfortunately, this whole access which you get to recorded videos, this is facilitating procrastination among the students. You understand what is procrastination? That let me not go to the classroom, let me sleep more, and I'll see the recorded video later lying down on my bed at 3x speed. Okay, so this is no sense. It makes no sense. तुम अपने साथ धोखा कर रहे हो. ऐसे कुछ तैयारी नहीं होने वाली बेटा. लाइव क्लास करो, क्लास में आके अटेंड करो क्लास. दिस शुड बी विद फुल कंसंट्रेशन, with full discipline, and you should go and watch the recorded video only if there is some emergency, you are sick, you are not able to attend, you are out of town, you are not able to attend, then only fall back on the recorded video. Otherwise, you should not depend on recorded videos. Okay. Not in August. Yes, there will be one, Abhishek Singh. There will be one in October, November. One will start, but right now we're starting in June. Yes, online students. Tanu, what's your doubt? Yes, you will be, Tanu. In that case, you will be able to watch the recorded videos daily. On a daily basis, you will get, because you're involved in your post-graduation, so you'll be able to get access. Can you scroll up? Any more doubts? Excuse me. Can you scroll up? Yes, Tanisha. Tanisha, in that case, you can go one by one. This year, you can do GS. Next year, you can do your optional if your attempt year is 2028. Yes, Pragya, it's open for sociology also. Can you scroll up? 11603. If you do the pre-registration, that would be better. Then you can get your preferred time slot and prefer batch. Yes, scroll up. There would not be an evening batch Drishti for PSIR, but there would be 11 a.m. and there's already ongoing 2:30 batch. If you want to attend the class in the evening only because of some of your circumstances, then you'll have to depend on the daily recorded video which you will get. Bhavya, it's on the portal. We have uploaded this soft power handout I've just given to you, just to give you a little, reference that so that you should know what kind of notes we circulate in our classes for different topics. Yogita, you can follow that approach, but I've already given you my viewpoint that if you choose optional paper on the basis of the length of the syllabus, that's a wrong criteria. That is a wrong criteria. That should not be a criteria for choosing the optional paper. Yashodeep, also you have time, you can do the optional next year as well, or this year as per your preference. You have that luxury of time. Can you scroll down if there are any new messages? Online students, yes, any new messages? Pallavi, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. You can change the batch if you are not able to attempt it right now. So you can change the batch. You can join the Q2 batch also. Tanu, yes, please scroll down. Scroll down. Tanu, scroll down. बिल्कुल नीचे चले जाइए आप. No, Deepak, there would be no 5:30 to 8 batch right now. We have one in October that may be, but not right now. So you'll have to then depend on recorded videos. Class timing, I've already told you, 11 a.m. Scroll up. Khushi. We'll have a workshop for that also, Khushi, later. You'll get information regarding that. Any more new doubts, students, you have? Any more doubts you have, students? Offline students, is it clear to all of you? Hmm. Hmm. The language you are finding it difficult right now because we haven't explained it to you. Class has not happened. No, there has been no lecture on soft power. When you attended 2.5 hour class on soft power, then the handout language will start appearing easy to you, because each and every sentence in the handout we will explain to you in the class. We'll have a discussion on that in the class. Then you will be able to easily understand. Okay, because this I had given to you just to give you a reference that what kind of notes you get. But these notes, each and every sentence and word of the notes will be explained in the classroom. I'll explain in the classroom to you each and everything in a lot of detail, and then you will be easily able to understand the notes. Okay, so you'll be able to understand notes after you attend the class explanation. Class explanation, when you attend, then only you will understand the notes. Without class explanation, if you pick up the notes, it may sound gibberish to you. Fine, that problem, that's why you're encountering that problem. Okay. Ayushi Rana, yes, what's your question for PSIR optional what? Yes, online students also can enroll in offline batch. Ayushi, that's possible, yes. Abhishek, I've already in the beginning of the workshop, I told you how you should decide your optional. There are 2 criteria which you'll have to follow. Alta, yes, you can, in the institute premises itself, you can leisure around that you can manage easily 1 hour gap. Or you can go to the classroom 1 hour early and sit there. So I hope all doubts have been addressed, students. Is it clear to all of you? Any more doubts and queries? So thank you, online students. Thank you, students also who have joined us on YouTube. And I hope the discussion was helpful for you. So I look forward to see you in the PSIR classes. Thank you so much, students. God bless you. All the best. Thank you, students. Thank you.